off to a 2-0 start.
There is Jason Moss, as you see, 2-0 this season, really enjoying the opportunity here in Montreal, and of course wants to be able to deliver a second straight home victory. And there's Mike O'Shea, who talked about Jason Moss this week, said, Jason Moss is one of the most intense people I've ever been around. He attacks off days like it's the greatest off day ever. Every single time he knows this Montreal club in their new red alternate uniforms here at home on Canada Day will be ready to go as we set to kick this one off. Thanks for hanging out during the delay. Let's play some football on Canada Day here in Montreal as it's returned by Janarian Grant out across the 20-30 and adds to his impressive special teams totals on the season all the way out to the 40-yard line. As out comes Zach Collaros. Last week it broke a 16-game touchdown streak for him, but again, stats never really the concern for Zach.
Yeah, as Zach comes out making career start number 101 in the Canadian Football League. Obviously, massively successful since joining the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2019. Zach and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been the measuring stick by which other CFL teams measure themselves over the last few seasons. Montreal is looking at this as an opportunity to prove they belong as contender.
They'll begin looking for the handoff, and Collaros will slide his way forward on first down. The rare rush for number 8 as we get a look at the rest of the Winnipeg offense.
And taking a look, veteran offensive line led, of course, by Stanley Bryant, the league's most outstanding offensive lineman. He looks to lead that group in a much-needed bounce-back game here. Tonight in the receiving corps, you heard Nick Dembski out of the lineup. Congratulations to Nick and family. Greg McRae will get an opportunity. He should get some of those Dembski touches in the offense tonight.
Dembski's second in the CFL with 17 catches. We'll see how they replace it. Is Mustafa Johnson right there on time to bring down Collaros as he threw the rock, and it's incomplete. A 2-and-out to begin for the Montreal defense, something they've done so well this season, forcing it 48% of the time. That's best in the CFL.
Yeah, and I think that Montreal defensive line, led by a veteran in Armando Sewell, but keep an eye on the newcomer, 94, Mustafa Johnson, his second year with the Alouettes. His 10th career start tonight after joining the team mid-season last year.
Jeff Gray a little slow off the ball, and it leads to a return here for Chandler Worthy, his first touch of the ball game. And we get an opportunity after a 45-yard punt to see number 7, Cody Fajardo, again leading the CFL in pass efficiency and completion percentage.
Yeah, Cody in his first year here in Montreal, but having that advantage of having come here with Jason Moss, his former offensive coordinator from Saskatchewan, in his first year as the Alouettes head coach. But what it really means is that Cody comes in with a background with a large chunk of the Alouettes offense. They combined some things that they did in Saskatchewan with things that they had previously done here in Montreal. But a great head start, so it's not so much a typical case of a guy starting with a new team.
Expect to see plenty of this tonight. There is William Standback driving the pile forward as we look at this Alouettes offense that will likely use a couple more heavy packages here after the rain delay.
Yeah, and missing an important guy as you talk about going heavy, and Pierre-Olivier Lestage missing from that left guard spot, but they have the veteran Philippe Gagnon filling in for him in the receiving corps. Much decimated receiving corps. Keyshawn Abrams, the latest to go out. Jake Hardy will get the start at wide receiver tonight.
Moves Herja Mayala over to that boundary slot back position. He might get some more touches as quickly out of the hand of Fajardo. It is complete underneath to Cole Speaker, just his 3rd catch of the season. And it creates 3rd and short.
Yeah, and interesting stats when you talk about the Montreal Alouettes and sort of that distribution in the passing game. There so many injuries, so many departures via free agency and so on, that you see Mack and Julian Grant heavily targeted. Speaker, you said he's their next leading receiver.
Oh, fumbled snap underneath. Fajardo trying to pick it up off the turf and dive his way forward. Man, he is lucky that Adam Bighill did not come over the top like he usually does in those short yardage situations. Somehow, it is a 3rd down conversion despite all the trouble on the snap.
Yeah, fortunately, there are no style points in football. Otherwise, the Owls would have been heavily penalized on this when you see that ball hitting the ground. But Cody able to get his hands on it and secure it before anybody's able to get to him. Credit to the work of the offensive line, quite frankly, in providing him that much insulation.
Alouettes now 2 for 2 on the season in third and short conversions. That one ugly, but who cares? They get a fresh set of downs. Fajardo looks to throw, sets in the pocket, now rolls out to his right, looking downfield, nobody home, and he'll just get rid of this one. He flips it away as the pressure being applied along that sideline by the Bombers defense, and we get a look at their starting lineup tonight.
And Bombers defensive line, happy to welcome back Jackson Jeffcoat after a stint on the injured list. He, of course, the bookend to Willie Jefferson on that D-line. Mentioned Adam Bighill comes into this one career tackle behind his longtime running mate Solomon Elimimian in terms of career numbers. And on the back end, after missing last week's game, Demario Houston returns to that boundary corner spot.
Fajardo sets up after the throwaway, 2nd and 10, pressure on, again escapes it, now looking to run. Fajardo off the middle, slides across the 55, and that will be just enough for the first down for Montreal.
And in the Canadian Football League, the ability of a quarterback to make plays like this is so critical, and a part of Cody's game that was impacted last year in Saskatchewan by his knee injury. His mobility is such a threat, adds such a dimension to a team's offense, and here you see exactly why, whether it's extending plays, just tucking the ball like this to keep drives alive where they otherwise would have been snuffed out.
New long rush of the season for Fajardo. Previously it was just 7 yards. That one goes for 12. He'll throw a quick screen now out to Austin Mack. His first touch of the ball game. Bounces off 2 tacklers and dives his way forward before being wrapped up by Alden Darby Jr. But a good touch for the outstanding rookie here in the CFL.
Yeah, and Austin Mack is a guy who's obviously a very talented, very skilled receiver, but a thing that I think fans are going to fall in love with in terms of this guy's game as they get to know him is that physical element that he brings. Jason Moss said it to us after Mack's first game, is that one of the things that you don't necessarily see over the course of a television game is how hard he blocks, but you also see when he gets the ball after the catch. Doesn't mind going through people.
Snap comes up. Fajardo, some miscommunication in the backfield, and he'll just plunge his way forward. As it was 2nd and 1. After the quick screen went for a solid 9.5 outside to Mack. And another first down for the Alouettes.
And here you see Fajardo and Stanback clearly on different pages, but a quick adjustment. Stanback turns blocker, Fajardo turns ball carrier, and they move the sticks nonetheless.
Yeah, QB ISO lead, just like they drew it up, right? You just stand back right there in the middle. We'll see plenty of different styles tonight in the running game and on the chin straps. Canadian flag for William Stanback. As this one zipped out, incomplete, intended for Herjan Mayala, but Nichols there on the coverage and gets his 4th knockdown of the season.
Yeah, you get a quick textbook clinic on how to play defensive end from Willie Jefferson, one of the best in the business. You'll see Willie on the edge here, does a great job, comes upfield, and you'll see controls the run, but keeps that contained position. He's not going to let Cody out of the pocket, forces him to hold up, then forces him to adjust his throw around that massive wingspan.
Jefferson asked this week, what excites you about this game? He said, Cody in a New Jersey. He wants to get after him tonight. Lots of time for Fajardo here. Open, throws a strike, and driven out of bounds on the far sideline. That is Austin Mack getting his 2nd grab of the ball game, as that's Jeremy Soiree making the tackle.
Mack lining up out wide on this one. Just drives the defender off the line. Nice stutter step there. Create a little bit of separation. Nice route.
Nice tackle, too. It looked like Davis Sanchez on Milt Stiegel out in BC for the home opener. Nice little form tackle there. Loving Milt's red suit tonight. This field goal attempt will come for David Cote. From 45 yards away, he's made 15 straight, dating back to October of last year. Tough conditions tonight, and he misses. 10 yards deep into the end zone. One of the most dangerous return men in the CFL, Janarian Grant, runs into a host of tacklers. And so the Alouettes, a solid drive to open things up after a 2-and-out by their defense, but the miss on the field goal. And we remain scoreless as you see Soiree here in Montreal on Canada Day making the play.
In a game in which, as you have rarely seen in recent years in Winnipeg, they got outplayed at the line of scrimmage.
Flips it out. This one complete to Brady Oliveira. His first time getting the rock here in Montreal. As we get a look at the Alouettes starting defense, second in the CFL in points allowed, just 12 per game.
Yeah, and this is a defensive line that I'm excited to watch in action. They're led by the veteran Armando Sewell, still getting it done from the interior. A couple of new faces in that linebacking core. You've got Bryce Notary at the middle linebacker spot. Also, J.R. Reed is in at nickel as Najee Murray moves to the field halfback spot. He's in there in place of the injured Deontay Evans. So the league's interceptions leader, Evans, sidelined for this one. The versatile Najee Murray shifting to halfback.
On the one-game injured list goes Deontay Evans. He's on the sidelines tonight. Polaros hands it off. So Greg McCray in the lineup due to the absence of Nick Dembski at home, discussed off the top. And it looks as though it will be a conversion here. The first down of the ball game for this Winnipeg offense.
Yeah, Greg McCray in motion. As we said, it involves a little bit of a ratio shuffle for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Canadian Dembski out of the lineup. McCray comes in place of American Carlton Agudosi. We'll see some Brendan O'Leary Orange, the Canadian, in at slot, but he's not necessarily the same type of player as Dembski. McCray gets out there.
This one out of the hands quickly of Polaros. Coverage right there as Wesley Sutton will bring down Dalton Schoen, the outstanding rookie of last season, against one of the most versatile defenders in the CFL last year in Sutton.
Yeah, and this should be a fun matchup to watch. Each of these guys relatively early, yet both well established in their Canadian Football League careers. Schoen and Sutton.
Sutton told us this week that his pick six last Friday night against Duke Williams and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, he said all game I was just giving him a little bit too much respect. Decided to close it up. We'll see if he closes up the gap later on against Dalton Schoen. Blitz from the corner here. It's Ento firing off. Winnipeg picks it up, and it is complete. Up to the 38-yard line, I should say, on Winnipeg's side of the field. McCray, again, that versatile slot back, running back combo.
And take a look here. First of all, the pocket from which Zach Collaros is working. You see Greg McCray, a running back by trade. They're playing slot back here in the Canadian Football League. As we mentioned, a little bit of a hybrid role in this particular offensive scheme.
Last year when he got moved to slot back, everybody wondered, is this just a depth chart thing? No, he's lining up at slot back and playing it. They'll run the rock right downhill this time as Mustafa Johnson finally brings down Brady Oliveira, but a nice chunk on first down. A huge point of contention for defensive coordinator Noel Thorpe this week. First down production from opposing offenses.
Yeah, and a key for both teams, but yeah, a real focus. Montreal has made it a real focus, is limiting what the offense does. And, you know, I mean, that sounds like sort of a no-brainer for a defensive coordinator, but Thorpe and his group have had tremendous success on first down, which has translated to the overall success of their defense thus far.
Second down conversions for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, one of the best in the CFL this year. They fake the end around. Polaros, deep shot over the top, looking for Rasheed Bailey, and it is incomplete, but a flag is down as Marc-Antoine Duquois was there on the coverage alongside Cordell Rogers.
Pass interference, Montreal number 24. It's going to be first down at the spot of the foul. Interférence sur un receveur, Montréal numéro 24. Ça va être premier essai au point d'infraction.
Rogers, the rookie, getting his first look at corner here for the Alouettes. 33, he's in coverage. The intended receiver, Bailey, has a step on him. You see the deep middle defender, Duquois, scrambling to get back and kind of runs through the receiver.
And was it enough to draw pass interference? Jason Moss and the Montreal sideline disagrees. They've thrown the challenge flag, We will sort out the challenge result. Moss 0 for 1 on challenges so far on the season. Dubois, guilty or innocent? Canada Day, the question here, defensive pass interference against number 24, Marc-Antoine Dubois of the University of Montreal, or not. Looks like he might have timed it up pretty good against Rasheed Bailey. Originally called pass interference. The lead official, Ben Major, has the call as command has taken a look at it. And they will determine whether or not it is a flag.
Upon further review, the ruling on the field stands. Montreal loses their challenge and a timeout. Suite à la révision du jeu, la décision sur le terrain et sa demande de révision.
I'm not necessarily sold on this call. I thought in looking at the replay, quite frankly, that they were going to pick up the flag. You watch Dubois on this play. He reaches for the football, doesn't make contact with the receiver before the ball gets there. This isn't a case of like face guarding, running with his hands blocking the receiver's view. His reach times out with when the ball gets there.
I wonder if they got ticky-tack with the left hand on the shoulder pad of Bailey. Regardless, it does go to Winnipeg in their favor, and they drag the pile forward. As at the end of the play, you see Reed getting tackled by Jeff Gray, the starting left guard here tonight for the Bombers.
It'll be interesting to see to what degree the Bombers are able to establish and really stick with their ground attack. You know, this is obviously something that lets their offensive line get in a little bit of a rhythm, dictate some of the flow of the game, and establish themselves physically, which they never really had an opportunity to do in the BC game last week.
Colaros in the shotgun. Four-man pressure headed his way over the middle. And he looks once again for Dalton Schoen down to the 5-yard line. Up to 30 targets on the season now already for Dalton Schoen.
It was interesting watching sort of the timing or pace. If you watch from the left edge of your screen from Dalton Schoen on this route, he sort of had an easy stride as he made his way upfield, but then watch how the pace changes when he makes his break. Accelerates across the middle, gets a step there on Najee Murray. Perfectly timed throw from Zach Colaros for the first down.
Last year, of course, over 100 targets, 107 to be exact for Schoen. He's had a quick start to the year. Colaros flips this one out. It's complete. Greg McCray diving to the end zone. Touchdown, Bombers. A flag is up. But if it stands, that's the first touchdown allowed by this Montreal defense this season. Is it a question of blocking downfield here, perhaps? Mike O'Shea getting a quick look at it.
Yeah, initially, I thought it was pretty good execution from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on this play. Blocking things up on the backside, moving the pocket with Colaros. So we'll await the word.
And allowed to block downfield before the pass as long as the pass is completed behind the original line of scrimmage, just behind that 5-yard line. But let's take a look at it.
Yeah, Bailey is out on the front side of that one. He's got a crackback block on that one coming from outside in.
Illegal block, Winnipeg, number 88. It's a 10-yard penalty. We're going to repeat first down. On a bloc légal.
You saw there coming from outside in. Again, top right corner of your screen is Rasheed Bailey. It shows that he's running her out, but coming from outside the box, working inside with that hit on a defender.
Not allowed to block back.
No in the era of player safety.
Back towards your own goal line. So Colaros shuffling around in the pocket. 10th play of the drive. Will flip it out in the hands of McCray once again. Wrapped up and brought down. There's Rogers making the play in the lineup tonight. The shuffling of the secondary for the Alouettes.
Yeah, big play here by Rogers as Colaros has to create on the fly. Finds McCray as his outlet. But Cordell Rogers out of Texas State University. They're in a hurry. 6-year man at Texas State, former high school quarterback Lufkin, Texas.
Collaros with more pressure coming. They blitz the corner. Ento again. He goes the opposite direction. Open in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Bombers. Drew Wolodarski into the end zone. And now Montreal's given up their first touchdown.
What about QB?
Where's my QB?
Nice route from Wolodarski. Great adjustment to the ball in the air. And nice placement here from Zach Collaros. Somewhat Ricky Ray-esque work in the corner of the end zone. Rogers experiencing the highs and lows of emotions of a CFL cornerback over there that time as he's beaten by Wolodarski for the touchdown.
Wolodarski coming into tonight. 142 quarterback rating. That's the highest for Collaros. He loves throwing it to 82, as you can see on that one. Great chemistry between those two. Fading it into the back of the end zone. Here on Canada Day, Winnipeg with the early lead.
Drew Wolodarski lined up out wide here. He's going to freeze the defender with a little double move. Looks like he's just going to settle it down right here. Gets Rogers to bite. DB jumps to the inside. Wolodarski works to the corner. Collaros drops it in for the major.
One of those throws you can only make with a CFL end zone here on Canada Day long weekend. The time and the patience to stutter and find the end zone for 6 as Sergio Castillo blasts it down to Chandler Worthy. Breaks across to the field side, makes 2-man miss, now goes north-south. Across the 35-40, Worthy, whoa, might have been 1 man away from finding a big opening in the kick return game. Cody Fajardo takes to the field once again as Drew Wolodarski and Dalton you got the ball. Touchdown.
The overall atmosphere is always about gratitude. And it's funny, he mentioned how he thinks that men, especially in football environments, don't often share their gratitude. But he talked about how he likes seeing this guy, can't wait to see this guy. And then when we spoke to Willie Jefferson and Zach Collaros, you could hear the same thing. Couldn't wait to see this guy this week. Couldn't wait to see this guy this week. Even though the coach is staying out of the locker room, his message is getting there, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. A little flea flicker here for Fajardo. Loading it up over the top downfield. Fighting back to the football. The defensive pass interference flag does come out, and Mac points at the ground as they go after Jeremy Soiree. His 3rd play last week. A little welcome to the CFL moment, Dwayne, as he got beat for a defensive pass interference call, and Mac went right at him here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, this is a little bit of a throwback, it seems, to the run and gun days of Vernon Adams Jr. in 2019. Little flea flicker.
Offensive pass interference. Montreal number 81. The penalty is declined. It's going to be 2nd down. On a passe d'interférence contre l'offensive.
I will suggest that I am once again a little bit surprised by the call.
As is Mac, coming over from the New York Giants. Plenty of NFL experience. He's going, hey, down south, man. Anytime I fight back to the football, I get that call.
Yeah, and to Jeremy Soiree's credit, good position.
Yeah.
Like, he was not fooled by the fake, stayed right with his receiver.
The penalty declined. It is 2nd and 10. Fajardo in the pocket, dances away. Jackson Jeffcoat chasing after him. Jake Thomas behind. Willie Jefferson in front. Fajardo dances away from all 3 of them. But it won't be enough on 2nd down to move the sticks.
Oh, Cody just trying to make something out of nothing as this one broke down. You see, he gets on the move, eyes downfield, but at a certain point, this just becomes about survival for the Alouettes quarterback in a desperation to try to keep the drive alive, but nothing doing.
A little bit like watching a game of Pac-Man there for a second. Up, down, left, right, anywhere to avoid the Bombers' pass rush. It's done pretty well this season. 9 sacks coming into tonight, 2nd in the CFL. Here's Joseph Zima. Nice high boot. Drops it down to Janarian Grant. He's already got a punt return touchdown this season, a spectacular one. This one a 45-yard punt. Not much of a return. And the Alouettes lucky to not get a penalty for roughness at the end of that one, with J.R. Reed escorting Grant out at the sidelines. Canada Day, long weekend. A little bit of a wait with the rain delay, but these two teams ready to battle through it as Winnipeg continues. Wolotarski touchdown, but finally these fans drying out, getting to have a little bit of fun here on Canada Day after they weighed things out on the concourse, and they're seeing, I think, a little bit of a different game than we expected. We thought it would just be come out, the ball's wet, the ground is wet, just rock and roll and decide to run it. But really, it's been trick plays and flea flickers and all sorts of fun.
Yeah, no, I think that conditions completely changed, right? It was absolutely nuts here for a while, not just the thunder and lightning that caused the delay, but the rain was absolutely teeming down, and so you've got kind of a wet field, and people anticipate the wet ball, but I'm not sure that coaches think the same way anymore. Had a long conversation earlier today with our friend Derek Taylor doing the Bombers radio broadcast, and we kind of talked about the evolution of the role of the run game in the CFL.
And off inside as we talk about lack of running, there goes Greg McCray. He's announced as a slot back in for Nick Dembski here tonight as they shuffle the deck. But he gets a straight up handoff downhill that time for a huge gain. It'll go for 34 for the Bombers.
Yeah, and you see McCray on this one lined up that deep I formation behind his quarterback in the gun. Just doing his thing. Offensive line gives him an opportunity to get downhill in a hurry on that one.
Gives them the ability to spell the running backs a little bit. Change of pace. Brady Oliveira back next to Collaros now. Low cross base though. Once again handed off. This one goes to Rasheed Bailey. Going around the edge. He'll pick up a gain of 5 before he's hauled down by Najee Murray.
And in the offensive scheme of coordinator Buck Pierce and Paul LaPolice before him, in terms of running this offense, the receiver run game has always been a big part of what the Bombers have done. Rasheed Bailey hasn't necessarily been a big part of it until this year, but that kind of expanding his role, showing you a little bit more of what he can do. The 65-yard field, so important to make defenses defend sideline to sideline, finding different ways to attack gaps across the field.
4th carry of the year for Bailey. They'll empty this one out. Little flat throw on 2nd and 5. Brady Oliveira, and there's no stopping that train as Oliveira carries a couple of Alouettes defenders forward for another Alouettes 2nd down, inability to get off the field.
Well, we saw the Bombers touchdown drive a few minutes ago, a long one that ate up over 6 minutes on the clock. You get the defense out on the field. As you said, you start wearing them down. The Alouettes are a team that likes to do it to people. They've got their Hammer and Williams stand back. Big punishing back, but certainly Winnipeg with Brady Oliveira, whether it's via run or pass, is a guy that can take it out of the defense physically as well.
Handed off to Oliveira this time, spins in the hole, bouncing between the tackles, and did the football come out? Montreal thinks it's on the turf. Lual Uguak says that Montreal has possession. And with Winnipeg driving once again, just like they did in the first quarter, at the bottom of that pile, it is Oliveira, Tyrese Beverett, and Marc-Antoine Duquois. Noel Thorpe says Montreal has the football, and they do.
Alouettes creating a turnover here. Keep an eye on number 10, Nick Usher, tracking back from his defensive end position in run pursuit as Najee Murray steps up to make the tackle. You'll see 10 Usher from the right side of your screen. He comes in from behind, gets his hat on the rock as he makes the tackle, ends up on the carpet. Marc-Antoine Duquois, the free safety, with the recovery as the Alouettes take over at their own 31-yard line.
Cody Fajardo in the offense back here at Percival Molson Stadium. They go with a handoff. There's Walter Fletcher getting a run as he's in the mix for the first time here after missing a couple of weeks to start the season.
A little bit of the thunder and lightning backfield, fittingly today for Montreal.
And Mike O'Shea talking things over with Brady Oliveira on ball security there, Dwayne.
Yeah. Yeah, and finishing with the encouraging pat on the head. Mike O'Shea, always the coach.
2nd and 4 here for the Alouettes. Back to Fletcher. He dives forward, picks up another first down for Montreal. Fletcher, as I say, hasn't played so far this year. Last year, 85 carries, added 27 catches as well. Between those two, he had himself over 700 yards of total offense.
Yeah, different styles, and here you see the receivers getting involved in the blocking scheme for the Montreal Alouettes, but yeah, a little different style than William Stanback. Fletcher initially brought over when Stanback was injured in the season opener last year. Looking for some depth at running back. Fletcher was available from Edmonton.
Quick game once again for Fajardo outside, and seems like they're starting to isolate Mack a little bit against Jeremy Soiree on that wide side, Dwayne.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about Austin Mack. Now in his 3rd Canadian Football League game, Ohio State product. Guy with some National Football League game experience, and so important for a Montreal Alouettes team that has seen a complete rebuild, whether intentional or not, of their receiving corps.
Fajardo gets a pressure look here. Bombers are coming, has to get it away. There's big Willie J up to his old ways, of course, in Winnipeg. 3 batted down passes coming into tonight, leads the CFL, and number 5 adds to his total.
Interesting to note that the Bombers as a team lead the Canadian Football League in pass knockdowns. You see Jefferson from that right defensive end spot, unblocked man on this particular play, which when it's Willie Jefferson unblocked and a clear path to the quarterback, you might want to go back to the drawing board with that one.
Richie Hall, defensive coordinator for the Bombers, be happy with that one. They got 2 guys clean off the edge. Willie and Alden Darby, the 6th defensive back, as this kick will roll out of bounds inside the 10 for Joseph Zima. He'll be happy with that one. 54-yard punt, and his 2nd punt inside the 10-yard line. How you gonna throw over that tower? Incomplete. Willie J. Got a feeling anybody who was golfing about 3 hours ago in the Montreal area might have heard a horn similar to the air horn here inside the stadium. Get off the course. We're back on the turf here in Montreal. Early in the 2nd quarter, it's Colaros complete to the outside. It's the first catch for Brendan O'Leary Orange, stepping up in a starting spot for Nick Dembski out tonight.
Colaros having to once again go off script a little bit, and it appeared to be Mustafa Johnson who dented the pocket a little bit on this one. Colaros flushed on the play.
This time he'll hand it off inside. It is Greg McCrae, but the tackle being made by Nick Usher, flying down from his defensive end spot.
Well, Nick Usher, we saw him involved in the forced fumble a few minutes ago, but demonstrating that pursuit speed once again, tracking down Greg McCrae on that one. Former member of the Edmonton organization. He and Armando Sewell moving east together.
2nd and 7. Nolthorpe loves the blitz here. He won't, but it's incomplete regardless. That's Ento knocking it away. Had 8 tackles in his first game played. This time gets the pass breakup for Kabian Ento.
Ento, that matchup on the outside. You see 48 Ento in coverage. Guy who spent a little bit of time with the Green Bay Packers. Mr. Versatility during his college career.
This one, a low line drive that comes off the foot of Sheehan. Drops down to Chandler Worthy. Just a 38-yard punt, and Worthy is dancing, but nowhere to go. Great coverage that time, and it's the rookie out of Bishops, Jake Kelly, bringing him down, the 15th overall pick This year in the draft, Cody Fajardo's a look at Willie Jefferson. The impossible task for Cody Fajardo of trying to get over the top of number 5, one of the now elder statesmen in the Canadian Football League. For more, here's Matthew Shinetti.
Yeah, there was a time, Marsh, when it was Odell Willis and John Bowman who were the leaders of the Sac School, but now Willie Jefferson considers himself the OG of the new Sac School alongside A.C. Leonard and the guy across the way, Armando Sewell. And that's important because Willie Jefferson is at a point in his career where he knows that everyone around the league is looking at him. I asked Sean Oakman about that, and he goes, I take a look at what Willie's doing all the time. His body language and how he comports himself is the one thing that Willie was saying to us this week. I know I just can't walk to the sidelines. I know I have to jog. I have to have that intensity because I know I'm an example now to the guys coming in.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, such a great message and a leader of this team, and also somebody who has some harsh critics maybe at home, Dwayne.
Well, I mean, it's not just other players around the league that are watching, but Willie knows his grandma's watching. You know, Willie told us this week about every Tuesday morning as he drives to the facility, talks to Grandma, and Grandma is not shy about giving her feedback on the games. And so shout out to Willie's grandma. We know she's watching.
Hope she's enjoying the game here as Cody Fajardo gets this one away to the outside. It is Jake Hardy making the grab and once again isolating Jeremy Soiree on the outside. But yeah, for Willie Jefferson, a long tenured career here in the Canadian Football League. Great player and just flies off the ball with all that length and strength.
Yeah, started his career in Edmonton, had a stop in Saskatchewan before really becoming a fixture, a big part of this culture that we talk about in Winnipeg. Veteran players showing the younger players the way, and Willie, as you heard from Matthew, has just bought into that 100%.
Get some help here. Pressure coming on the blitz. Fajardo somehow spins away from the first rush, but the second wave is right there. Jake Thomas, the veteran Canadian here on Canada Day long weekend close, and Ricky Walker Jr. Looks like he'll get full credit for it as Willie has a bucket off and a couple words with the Owls. Yeah,
Jefferson first man in on this. When you see that quick first step, he's working against Landon Rice on that edge.
One of the most uncomfortable things on the planet with a helmet on is when your nose is in the ear hole, no?
Yes. Yes, you're looking blind.
And Willie tried to play through it. As Zima boots this away. Nice kick again down inside the 10-yard line in the middle of the field. Janarian Grant, after a 53-yard punt, bounces away from 2 tacklers, and the first overall pick last year, Tyrell Richards, I should say, excuse me. He's the one that wraps him up and brings it away.
Scan the QR promo code on screen to pay $30 less on a Crave Total 6-month plan versus a monthly subscription to get access to the most talked about series and latest hit movies.
Just a heads up to all of our American viewers, in just a couple of minutes, top of the hour, those of you watching in the U.S. are going to be leaving this game on CBS Sports Network to send you out to the NWSL match. But live coverage from here in Montreal will continue, streaming free on the CBS Sports app or at cbssports.com/CBSSN. As you get another look there, Rasheed Bailey thought he had a little bit more possible, but the Bombers' offense mixing and matching how to attack Montreal here early on.
And we'll take a look at the bauble after the exchange here between Collaros and Bailey, coming from that trail position. But, you know, we mentioned Winnipeg uses their receivers a lot in their run game. Seems like maybe in the early going, they might be looking to them a little bit more than usual in this particular game. You heard Jim Barker talk about Brady Oliveira battling injuries over the last week.
6th offensive lineman in on this snap on 2nd and 3. And Oliveira will pound it in between the tackles there. But you're right, I mean, Brady Oliveira coming off of being dinged for the last couple of weeks and just trying to find different ways to move it with McRae and Bailey.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, Brady's still going to get his share of touches, but if you can take a little bit of the load off of him. And in addition to that, obviously a big part of that receiver run game attacking the edges is try and loosen up those gaps in the middle, hopefully make sledding a little bit easier for Oliveira and set up some blocking angles as well for Euro linemen.
6 touches, 40 yards for Oliveira thus far. They'll go back to him here once again, right down that hash. And after having the fumble that was lost earlier and picked up by Marc-Antoine Duquois, starting to get back into a little bit of a rhythm.
Yeah, good patience from Brady Oliveira on this one. You'll see he doesn't just try to blast it in before the hole hasn't developed. Little stutter step there, allows those blocks to develop before putting his foot on the gas. Nice gain there of about 7 or 8.
I don't understand the patience these guys can run with. You hand me the football in a CFL game, I would be getting north-south as fast as possible, running terrified. Handoff once again. Oliveira rolls off the pile, gets up to the 50-yard line. Not sure he would have had it on second and a couple of yards without the extra effort, but another first down for the Bombers.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more contact leading into the spin move than we often have seen from his predecessor in the Winnipeg backfield, Andrew Harris. Now, of course, with the Toronto Argonauts. A couple of great products of the Oak Park High School football program, as is Nick Dembski.
Yeah. So with a 7-0 lead, rolling towards the 3-minute warning here in Montreal. The Bombers looking to take another shot down the field to the sideline, incomplete, just off the outstretched fingertips of Drew Wolodarski.
Yeah, just a missed opportunity there for the Bombers as they got the look they wanted. Full sprint for Zach Collaros. He's got an open lane, but a couple receivers at different levels here. Just the momentum as Collaros moving to his right on that throw. Carried that one away from the intended receiver, Wolodarski.
2nd and 10 again is exactly where Noel Thorpe in this Montreal defense wants to be. They mix and match. This time they'll just go with 4. Little stunt up front. Collaros gets it out quickly. And it is another first down on 2nd and long. Wolodarski earning that one.
So important what Winnipeg was able to do on this play. You mentioned, Marshall, the 4-man rush from Montreal. Winnipeg blocks that up firmly, ensuring that they don't let them get that pressure with 4. That's where some of their struggles started against BC.
We have hit the 3-minute warning here in Montreal. We'll be right back with the end of the first half.
To think of anything creative for the panel right now. We're going to bring it at halftime, though, right? Stigl!
Bring it!
I mean, look at that jacket. Showman.
I couldn't pull off that Stigl jacket, I gotta say. that red looks better on Milt than anybody on that. Now, sharp-looking panel tonight here on Canada Day. Zach Collaros, 10 of 13. 96 yards, but the touchdown to Drew Wolodarski right now is the difference. A 7-0 lead as Najee Murray stares on, ready to go back to work against his fellow Steubenville High School football alum Zach Collaros. Will hand off this time to McCray. Right downhill on first down. And another big chunk for the Bombers running game here in Montreal.
And once again, Bombers getting it done with a group effort in terms of the running game. Whether Greg McCray is getting his carries from the slot or from the backfield, we've seen Rashid Bailey getting the ball out of a couple of different looks, and obviously Brady Oliveira doing his thing.
Plenty of cross-ball motion from Bailey and McCray here. Oliveira sits in the backfield. Go right downhill into the teeth of that Montreal front. And this time, the Alouettes look like they've won the battle. As you see Avery Ellis coming out of the pile.
Now take a look here at the work. That Alouette defensive line. Ellis, rotation player, started last season with Montreal, was dealt to Edmonton partway through the year, released by the Elks in camp this year. He returns to the Alouettes. Temple product, who started his career the Ottawa Red Blacks.
So this field goal attempt, same direction that Cote missed for the Alouettes earlier on in the first quarter, will come from Sergio Castillo. The consecutive field goals made was 15 for Cote before he missed going this direction. Well, Castillo's got 17 going right now in a row. from 47 out. Knocks it through and adds to his point total on the season. Up to 35 now, second in the CFL in total points.
Sergio Castillo, second stint for him here with the Bombers. Spent last season in Edmonton. Elks deciding to go a different direction with their kicking game this year. The Bombers brought Castillo in, very competitive. Training camp for the punting and place kicking jobs. The Bombers, number of experienced players. But Castillo wins out and has provided the consistency and stability the Bombers were seeking at that position. So important in the CFL.
You knew it would be competitive in that kicking battle because there was a point around the time last year where the Montreal Alouettes won 2017 in overtime against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, where kicking seemed like the only deficiency on the entire roster for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a year where they would go 15-3. But week 10 of last year, it was these Alouettes, albeit a very different looking Alouettes squad,
yes,
that got the victory against Winnipeg in Winnipeg, which we saw BC do such a rare feat in the Canadian Football League over the last couple of years.
I think that was around the time last year that, as Willie Jefferson told us, that his grandma said, I'm going to pray for your kicking game.
Yes, she said, I'm going to pray for those kickers. Hope that they can knock some through. Well, Castillo's been doing a great job of that, as Worthy will return this one from his 10-yard line. He made here, turns it north-south, across the 30, wrapped up and brought down. As Worthy, interesting, Dwayne, one of the best punt returners in the CFL, already got the punt return touchdown against Hamilton last Friday, but kickoff returns for the Alouettes have been a bit of an issue, one of the lowest in the league.
Well, Chandler Worthy and the group doing their part with this one to try to rectify that issue, trying to get this one out to the wide field. Once again, Jake Kelly, the Bishop's University product, amongst those in on the tackle.
Quick throw this time to Keon Julian Grant. First time we've said 11's name here in the ball game. Told us this week he loves an early touch. Just needs one in the first quarter. Didn't get it, but here we go. End of the first half, and he's getting some love from Fajardo.
Yeah, that's it. Doesn't need the ball all the time, but likes to get involved early. This is bread and butter stuff for Keon Julian Grant. Terrific yards after the catch guy.
Go back to stand back here in the running game as he gets stacked up. On 1st and 10, Keon Julian Grant, 19.5 yards per catch. Kind of feels like he might be having a 2023 that Curly Gittens Jr. had as a Canadian receiver in 2022.
Yeah, well, a couple of guys from that 2019 CFL draft. And you look at the receivers picked in that draft. Justin McInnes, originally drafted by Saskatchewan, now in BC, really looking like he's starting to find his way in the Canadian Football League, given a little bit bigger opportunity with the Lions. Obviously, Keon with a bit of a breakout year this year, bigger role. And Curly was a monster last season.
And the monster pass rush of the Bombers gets home on Cody Fajardo, forces the incompletion as he was looking for Austin Mack that time. And protection has been an issue in Montreal. Started with 6 sacks given up against the Ottawa Redblacks right here at Percival Molson. 10 on the season coming in tonight.
Yeah, here's Jackson Jeffcoat in his return to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lineup. Just keeps the motor running as he gets a little extra attention. With the back helping out Nick Callender in protection. Working back to the inside. Jeffcoat in on the play.
Jeffcoat back from a calf injury, suffered week 1 against Hamilton. Bombers fans happy to watch 94. It worked just like they are. Janarian Grant, a 48-yard punt. Minimal return that time. An investigation into a botched kidnapping uncovers long-held secrets. Don't miss the HBO Max original limited series. Full Circle streams Thursday, July 13th, only on Crave. I read that to Dwayne Ford here in the booth before the game. I only got through half of it before we had another conversation about something football related, and he went, "You had me. The first sentence had me."
Yeah, I mean, you were reading the promo. You didn't tell me the title. You had me hooked.
Now you know. Streaming only on Crave. Rush here for Brady Oliveira to the outside. Marc-Antoine Dubois trying to play catch-up. And finally, it's Ento making the play, but you hear the excitement from the voice of Oliveira.
Yeah, running like a guy who is not suffering from any sort of injury issue, thoracic or otherwise, as discussed by our panel in the pregame. Oliveira, no hesitation to bring it, as I truly believe the Bombers are looking to reestablish that physicality.
Over the top this time, Collaros looks on a corner route down the field. Dalton Schoen against Wesley Sutton. It's a matchup of all-stars here on Canada Day, and that one, Schoen comes away victorious.
And watch the placement of this ball from Zach Collaros. You're looking top left corner of your screen. Corner out, just beautiful placement. Not a lot Wesley Sutton can do on that one.
36 big ones. Collaros to Schoen as Cody Fajardo watches on and goes, I remember watching that when I was in Saskatchewan last year. The Bombers' connection continues. This one, oh, big hit. The corner flying in. Rogers knocks it away from Greg McCrae.
Well, Cordell Rogers continuing to make his presence felt. Playing that field corner spot, just times that one up, sticking his shoulder right between the scapulae of receiver Greg McCrae.
Big hit, great contact.
Yep.
Defensive backs with hand warmers. Here on a hot, humid, maybe a discussion for a different time.
Well, we mentioned Rogers, a former quarterback.
True. Collaros looks underneath this time. Another great tackle from that Montreal defense. Najee Murray comes up on Wolotarski. And what will that leave on third down? About 4 or 5 yards.
And Murray timing that one up, but Wolotarski, it's a big, sure-handed target for Zach Collaros. University of Minnesota product, raised in the States, but Canadian roots that afford him national status in this league.
38-yard attempt here coming from Sergio Castillo. The holder will be Sheehan. Global. And this one blown dead as Castillo did miss the kick, but whistles first as Winnipeg called timeout.
Before the kick, Winnipeg called a timeout.
And saves the streak of one Sergio Castillo.
And Coach Osh tells him do it again.
Wonder if it was substitution based or just didn't like the look maybe they were getting, but you can see nothing makes the veins in the neck of Mike O'Shea pop more than having to spend a timeout or anything to do with special teams. Castillo will line it up again. 37, high snap. Now he's going to roll away. Sheehan tries to throw. The old fire call goes for naught, as the Bombers couldn't add to their total. 10-0 their lead here, as we get a look at the efforts of the punter Jamison Sheehan. This one came up high and hard, Dwayne.
Yeah, and then just unable to get it down cleanly. You saw that one hit the ground. That's when Sheehan is forced to make that fire call, signaling to everybody that things have broken down. Run your emergency routes. But the Alouettes in on him quickly to snuff out that Bomber drive.
Wolotarski with the lone touch.
The run game going early on, gets the defensive line off balance. For a bunch of guys who want to get north-south and just get upfield, Omondo Sewell, Mustafa Johnson, Nick Usher, Jamal Davis on that defensive line, they can't, because they are being forced to move laterally and trying to defend the multifaceted running attack of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Worthy on the return here out to the 25. 24-point loss for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers last week against BC, largest since 2015. They've come in here angry, in the defense trying to harass as much as possible Cody Fajardo, get after the quarterback for a team that's had for all the success passing, some difficulty protecting the quarterback this season.
Yeah, and Winnipeg presents as big a challenge as you're going to find when it comes to trying to protect your quarterback. Obviously, Willie Jefferson, one of the preeminent pass rushers in the Canadian Football League, gets Jackson Jeffcoat back in that lineup. You've got Jake Thomas, Ricky Walker providing that push up the middle.
Start with a throw this time, a little pump and throw around from Fajardo, as maybe he learned from his first half battle against Willie J.
Yeah, this is a nice adjustment by Cody, as he knows Willie Jefferson's MO. Jefferson, a guy who throughout his career has impacted passing lanes by getting those long arms up. Fajardo with the pump fake that time, pulling the ball down, but still forced to settle for that outlet pass to his running back for a short pickup.
Jefferson and Jeffcoat dig in at the defensive end spots here. 4 receivers out for Fajardo. Looks down the field. Cale Julien Grant on the deep out. Drags the toe. And KJG will move the sticks.
Yeah, I was sort of looking at the body position of Julian Grant and the angle of this throw coming in as you see him working out of the slot on this one. Wasn't sure he was going to be able to get his body turned in a way that was going to allow him to make this catch. But good, strong catch, getting the hands turned there to squeeze that one, get the feet down. Nice sucking down conversion.
A little shovel underneath this time. We go back to William Standback after a touch by Fletcher, mixing and matching that backfield. Reminiscent of the push in the playoffs last year by these Alouettes.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see when you talk about making adjustments in the second half of a ball game. If Montreal takes a little bit of a page from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers book, you've got 30 minutes left for all intents and purposes in this football game. Lots of time to play. A 10-point deficit is nothing, so to commit a little bit to your run game and your running back, not a bad idea.
He'll empty it out here. 4 to the right of Fajardo, 2 to the left. He goes left, and he does send it out to Worthy as Evan Holm makes the tackle, his 14th of the season, and the rare offensive touch for Chandler Worthy. Just his second catch of the season.
Yeah, not a ton of touches for Worthy, as you mentioned, but Montreal has done a nice job, and it may be a matter of the injury issues, quite frankly, that they've faced in their receiving core, but working him in a little bit more on offense than they were able to do a year ago.
Mayala to the left now. Where they lined up, they go with a hard count. Fajardo likes the play, he'll keep it on. They'll hand it off. Standback right down the hash through the McGill logo. And close to another first down. It will leave about 1 yard left on second down.
Yeah, and if you're Montreal, you got to like this. You want more of this. Nice block by the fullback, James Tuck, coming outside in on that one. But plays where you allow William Standback to just get downhill in a hurry, I mean, that is to Montreal's advantage offensively. Bread and butter stuff for them.
Back to the ground game here, and once again, bouncing through the tackles, it's Standback as the ball is out. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers came up with the football at the end of the play. Standback looked like he was in control, but it was out, and Demario Houston, who had 2 interceptions in week 1 against Bo Levi Mitchell, comes up with a fumble recovery here to begin the second half, with the Winnipeg defense getting possession back for Zach Collaros and company. Standback puts the shoulder down, ball out, Winnipeg ball when we return.
And I think Montreal found a pretty good offensive formula here. A lot of success in this drive running the football. An unfortunate turnover for them snuffs it out, but definitely something to build on. You just see on contact there, ball gets popped out. Standback going to his quarterback with an apology saying, just keep coming back to me.
Montreal's secret to success, +8 in turnover ratio, best in the Canadian Football League coming in tonight. They only lost 1 fumble the first couple of games, but that one goes to Winnipeg. And they'll try to take advantage of it here with another long drive. Really been controlling time of possession. As we get a look at Winnipeg and their ability, you heard Jim Barker, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stiegel talking about it at halftime, just imposing their will right up front.
Yeah, and the part that I loved about it was just the way that they found different ways to attack, and attacking sideline to sideline, every gap across the field. I think that the work of the receivers in the run game made it a little easier for Oliveira between the tackles.
Flattening down the corner at that time. They'll say incomplete for now. Wesley Sutton begging for an interception as the rain has returned here in Montreal.
Gets the explanation from the official. I'm not sure he's happy with it.
Well, we'll get a look at it.
Pretty clear, yeah. It looks like that one does bounce between the hands of Schoen.
Makes sense that Sutton thought he might have had an interception. He can't tell whether or not Schoen had the hands underneath it. Pressure on, kick away. Driven back to the 20-yard line as the rain falls here in Montreal. And the Alouettes return it after a 52-yard punt with Cody Fajardo back on the field. For the first half of this football game, Dwayne Ford getting the ball outside. Austin Mack, of course, one of his favorite targets in this season. Great throw as well to the outside of Keon Julian Grant here early on in the second half. Is pretty good rhythm at this point.
Yeah, they had that running game going well, short passing game a little bit. Got to pick up where they left off before the turnover, as you see Julian Grant go up to make that catch close to the sideline.
Highest graded Canadian receiver playing here on Canada Day long weekend, as Fajardo getting an increased comfort level with number 11.
Yeah, and it's interesting, you know, Keon Julian Grant, we mentioned him being part of that 2019 draft class, and a guy always very athletic. We had a great talk with him about sort of the recruitment process, his decision to go to St. Francis Xavier University and Antigonish, Nova Scotia, and really prove himself in a smaller program, smaller conference.
The rush on here, Fajardo couldn't get it away. They sent the blitz, did the Bombers, and they get home, bringing down Montreal's quarterback. But yeah, Julian Grant, an amazing opportunity for him in Montreal with the amount of targets from last season that are gone due to injury or free agency loss.
Yeah, and it really has been. So you're going to see here the Winnipeg defense continuing to cause issues for Cody Fajardo when he's forced into passing situations. If they can keep that run game going and stay in favorable second down situations, that goes a long way.
Cam Lawson revenge game, drafted by Montreal back in 2020, traded to Winnipeg ahead of the 22 draft. 55-yard punch, and Julian Grant going east-west and looking for somewhere to find an opening as Tyrese Beverett into it with the Wilfrid Laurier grad Tanner Cadwallader. Zach Collaros back out on the field. Brady Oliveira, that offensive line. We don't have a lot of continuity as I talk about free agency losses for the Montreal Alouettes in the Canadian Football League from year to year, team to team. There's been some changes up front for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but you look and it's, well, there's Oliveira and there's Bailey, and yep, Collaros is still there, and Neufeld, and
yeah, and it was one of the things that they talked about. You go back to the lost 2020 season due to the pandemic. One of the things that Winnipeg felt was so important coming back in 21 was maintaining that continuity. And it's been a big part of what they've done over the last few years.
They sneak Julian Grant in here for a touch. Taking the Rasheed Bailey little jet sweep underneath. And the punt returner extraordinaire gets a little bit of action on O.
Yeah, we'll go to the cable cam on this one because it's the only one that's fast enough to keep up with Janarian Grant. The spider cam down at field level, giving us a great look at this one. Seeing Grant getting the look on offense as we saw Chandler Worthy earlier, right? These guys have the great punt return skills, ability to make people miss. Why not take advantage of it on offense?
Buck Pierce dialing it up. You see Collaros telling Rasheed Bailey, get on the line of scrimmage. Doesn't want to take a penalty for illegal formation. They'll hand it off, running away from Bailey, missed tackle in the hole, and Oliveira diving forward on 1st and 10. The extra offensive lineman set in for the Bombers as well. With Oliveira back to his feet.
Now Oliveira bouncing that one out to the perimeter, little change up from his usual pounding between the tackles. But yeah, you see Liam Dobson in as the extra offensive lineman on the left side, brings Stanley Bryan around to lead the way.
gotta say, Stanley Bryant in his 13th year in the CFL, still getting to pull and run like that at space and doing it at an elite level. Pretty special. Colaros hides behind Bryant this time, but nowhere to go. One-on-one matchup. Kabianento wins against Rashid Bailey there. And on 2nd and 4, it will be the punting unit coming out as a result.
Yeah, big stop there for the Montreal Alouettes D. I think when you look at this third quarter, Montreal started with that great momentum, that stand-back drive, we'll call it, where they, for the first time, they really seem to have some traction in this football game. That gets snuffed out by a fumble. I think if Winnipeg is able to score and sort of extend this, you know, to a 3-score football game, it changes the complexion of things. But as long as Montreal can keep it at 2 and not let Winnipeg really grab any momentum themselves, they give themselves a good opportunity here.
Jamison Sheehan tried to go with the old Texas two-step. 2 to the right, sling it back to the left, and he can't get it to stay in bounds. Flag comes up. We'll sort out the penalty on the other side. Should be good starting field position for the Montreal Alouettes as Willie
that in the first half of this ball game.
Fajardo stands in the gun. Run heavy look. They'll give the run. It is stand back, rolling his way forward. On first down, still leaning on that running game. Anthony Calvillo working alongside Jason Moss and calling the offensive scheme of the Alouettes here. And as you said, Dwayne, it's still just a 10-point football game, so really no shame in trying to get that rolling. Certainly one of the strengths of this Alouettes club.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the Montreal Alouettes, we've talked at length through multiple games about their situation at receiver. They're a little bit limited with guys who are out of the lineup. Stand-back's their best offensive weapon.
Fajardo on 2nd and 9. Down the field, on Julian Grant. He beat home across the field, and Julian Grant goes down at the end of the play. Slow up onto his feet. And he'll stand up now and give the first down signal as a 69-yard completion all the way across the turf.
On Julian Grant clearly taking exception to me suggesting William Stanback's their best offensive weapon. Not so fast. The big gain there as he demonstrates his explosiveness. Made me cringe when you saw the look for a second like the legs sort of buckled there just before the tackle. But he appears to be all right, just caught a toe in the turf.
Lucky not to hyperextend. I think it was that right leg at the end and even the ankle. Oof. But Fajardo loves it. Deep in the score zone goes Montreal. Pumps, looks down the seam, it's intercepted. Brandon Alexander, the free safety, comes over, picks it off, and now it's a race. Back to the 40-yard line, 2 missed tackles. Alexander on his feet, down the left sideline, and finally, Christian Matt, the veteran offensive lineman, has to make the play to prevent a pick 6 of over 100 yards.
Brandon Alexander, the veteran at free safety. We saw the double move. He wasn't fooled. Jumps in front of that one for a massive Winnipeg turnover.
Locked on, and Alexander made him pay. Moss looks on in frustration. Winnipeg back on offense. Brady Oliveira crosses the 40-yard line. And we'll pick up a gain of about 7.
And turnovers right now looming as the story for the Montreal Alouettes. Twice venturing into potential scoring position and turning over the ball here in this third quarter. Massive turn of events in what is just a 10-point ball game at this point.
As I said off the top, +8 in turnover ratio coming in. Not a complicated equation for Montreal beginning the season 2-0 against Ottawa and Hamilton. But struggling in their key categories here tonight as Oliveira drops the shoulder. Stanley Bryant down in the backfield of the Bombers. Very rarely on his backside is 66, but makes his way back up onto his feet.
And back at it after another positive running play for Oliveira and the Blue Bombers. And notice here in the second half, So keep an eye on Bryant from his left tackle spot. He's got tripped up on the play. Feet got caught as he falls backwards.
Got up with a laugh. The veteran knowing I didn't get pushed off the ball as we go back to the horizontal running game here. After going downhill with Oliveira, side to side with Rasheed Bailey, and that'll pick up a first down. No?
Yeah, I like the way they've continued to mix up these calls because it had, as you said, it had become a little bit more downhill in the running game. A lot of Oliveira between the tackles. Now you catch him off guard a little bit, remind him. Yeah, it's not always coming between the tackles, and it's not always going to be our running back. Keeping the defense honest there. A nice pickup from Rasheed Bailey.
Formulaic play calling of Buck Pierce, offensive coordinator. You see through the rain here in Montreal on Canada Day, dialing it up for a gain of 7. 2nd and 3. Colaros pulls, flips it out. That is complete, and getting to the sticks successfully. It's Dalton Schoen as he'll pick up another first down here for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah, simple play. There's not necessarily anything pretty about it, but just high percentage, good execution off the fake to Oliveira up the middle, get the defense to squeeze down, try and open up a little bit of room. You know that all you need is 2 yards. Easily picked up there by Schoen.
Don't talk about it much. Dalton Schoen, plenty of statistical greatness last season, but just a hard guy to tackle in space. He looks like he's built up a little bit more here in 2023. Listed at 6'1", 210. As you see Jeff Gray, offensive lineman, lined up as an H-back fullback in the backfield on 1st and 10. He'll kick across and try to lead to the left. Liam Dobson checking into the game as well. And some pushing with Tui Eli at the end of the play. So all 7 offensive linemen in the mix for the Bombers here late in the 3rd.
Yeah, getting lots of big bodies on the field, leaving no surprises in terms of what they're going to do. You're going to see Jeff Gray is going to motion in and try to lead right up the middle on this one. Gray is the guy who becomes that H-back man in motion. We think about his athleticism and remember back to his pro day at the University of Manitoba, a 300-pound man riding a unicycle.
900 pounds pulling around the edge there for Montreal's front to face. Goes for a gain of 2. Now on 2nd and 8. Into the end zone, Dalton Schoen. And the Bombers separate themselves against Montreal here on Canada Day.
Yeah, massive touchdown there. And that one resulting directly from the Montreal turnover deep in Winnipeg territory. Terrific drive put together by Zach Colaros and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but credit for half that yardage goes to Brandon Alexander on the interception return.
Schoen shaking free into the end zone. Wolotarski's got one. Now Schoen into the end zone as well. So that'll go on the board as his 2nd touchdown of 2023. Had 16 of them last year in the regular season. 6 plays, 46 yards in just over 4 minutes. And it ends in a 21-yard major. Sergio Castillo to tack on the extra point. And Winnipeg leading 17-0 here in Montreal. Another look at the touchdown from the Bombers as Colaros throwing it through the rain comfortably. No gloves needed for Dalton Schoen.
They're the men with the 2 touchdown receptions tonight. Wolotarski and Schoen getting it done for the Bombers.
Throwing up the W. By the way, learned from Willie Jefferson this week that Drew Wolotarski, you see on the right there, has actually started the Bombers Book Club.
Oh, no.
They're actually meeting and
hey, that's good job. You're digging deep. Good job, man.
reading a book once a month, getting together on their off days to review.
Do we know what the book of the month is?
You know what? Kenzie Lalonde learned it.
Yeah.
She failed to let me know the title.
You know, Kenzie was a little busy with Trade Center.
There's a lot going on today here on TSN.
Or excuse me, free agent frenzy.
Yes. Did your Leafs get anyone? Or?
You know, my Leafs did all right. You got to appreciate. I mean, we've got the Bombers playing tonight, and Willard Reeves' son Ryan is going to be wearing blue and white next season. Good start.
The Bombers will boot it away after the interception by Brandon Alexander. Montreal gets another opportunity to try and put some points on the board here at home. Their fans stuck it out through the rain. They want to see a score. Wimbledon coverage begins Monday as the world's biggest tennis stars take to the All England Club. Catch every rally, ace, and set all tournament long, only on TSN.
Who's your money on Wimbledon this year, Mark?
Bombers 6.5 favorite. Covering as they lead 17-0 here on the road. Fajardo fakes inside to stand back, flips it out. Now Julian Grant trying to get to the wall. He does, cuts it back, and Jackson Jeffcoat finally flows out from his defensive end spot. And the Alouettes get a nice little chunk to end the third quarter, but plenty of work to be done in the fourth against the Bombers, who run the rock mercilessly and have 2 throwing touchdowns, adding to their total on the season. Jason Moss and his club want to win at home on Canada Day. Stacking it up with rushing yards, 138 thus far, and timely throws from Zach Collaros to a couple of trusted receivers now in Drew Wolodarski and Dalton Schoen. It's been really impressive by Winnipeg here on the road after what we saw last Thursday against BC at home.
Yeah, well, it really has. And it was almost as if, given the BC game, because it was so out of character for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Like, it's one thing to lose, but to see the Bombers somewhat dominated and kind of not have answers and not find a way back, it was almost like nobody in Winnipeg was pressing the panic button, but it seemed like everybody else all of a sudden was like, oh, what's wrong with the Bombers? What's wrong with the Bombers? Well, nothing's wrong with the Bombers. BC is playing really well, and the Bombers didn't have their best day, but they're demonstrating once again they remain the yardstick by which CFL teams in 2023 will be measured for the time being.
And a big one coming up on Monday in Toronto as the undefeated BC Lions will take on those Toronto Argonauts. Looking forward to having the call of that one alongside Glenn Suter and Matthew Shinetti, who might be dried off by Monday evening by the time we get to the third and final game here on Canada Day long weekend. Cody Fajardo on 2nd and 6, pressure on, spins away to the left like he does so often, looking for an option, nobody available, and Fajardo will step out of bounds. It's Austin Mack maybe wishing he might have turned up and given him an option.
Yeah, you'll see Cody Fajardo with the spin escape here, and it's funny, Willie Jefferson talked to us a little bit about this, is that you kind of know what's coming. Film study of Cody, experience over the years, but still unable to quite defend that one.
Darian Grant stands back awaiting the kick from Joseph Zima. The combined yards leader in the Canadian Football League through the first 3 weeks of the season. 155 yards per game, 99% of it coming punt returns and kick returns. Really helped the field position battle for the Bombers here tonight. Always important in the rain. As Grant will settle underneath this one at his own 16-yard line. 51-yard kick and good coverage. Formula One is back tomorrow. Max Verstappen in pole position. It's the Austrian Grand Prix. Coverage begins Sunday morning, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 a.m. Pacific, only on TSN. What a sprint race this morning.
And now I know this is a little more in your wheelhouse than Wimbledon. Who's your
What are you talking about? I was the Eastern Ontario mixed doubles champion in 2010. I mean,
high school?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, high school tennis. I wasn't tough enough to play rugby, so I had to pick a sport.
How have you kept this from me for all these years?
So there's always more layers to me, Dwayne. But Formula One in Austria, great track, fast lap. Maybe get a little bit of precipitation like today, have some fun, mix up the tires. We got it for you here on TSN. Rasheed Bailey to the outside. Everyone on Montreal's sideline asking for a holding call, won't get one, as finally Notary makes the tackle and a late flag comes out after the tackle is made as well.
Yeah, it looked like one or two of the Bomber receivers out making those blocks in space. May have been clutching and grabbing a little bit.
Holding Winnipeg number 84. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll replay first down. Retenu contre Winnipeg 84. Penalty diverge. On reprend le premier essai.
Ben Major, the lead official here tonight in Montreal.
And we'll watch number 84, Brendan O'Leary Orange, motioning in. Right. There you see him fighting his way around. The defender trying to get his body on the front side, but too late.
Mike O'Shea watches on now as his team has 1st and 20. Backed up in their own end, they'll empty it out. Oliveira out in a pass pattern. Collaros nowhere to go. Creates some time and space, zips it to the sideline. Flag is out deep in the secondary. And we'll sort out the penalty on this one. Well, Collaros finding a little bit of space to work as he got it out that time to Jeremy Murphy.
Contact on the receiver, Montreal number 44. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll replay first down. Contact illégal sur un receveur. Montréal numéro 44. C'est une penalty diverge. On reprend le premier essai.
It's the middle linebacker Bryce Notree in his CFL debut. See with the grab on O'Leary Orange that gets him flagged. I guess the penalty is going to rob Quebec native Jeremy Murphy of his first Canadian Football League catch here at home in front of friends and family.
First year out of Concordia, from St. Bruno, Quebec, South Shore in Montreal. Collaros will go back to the running game. And it is Oliveira in control right now with that big front of the Bombers.
And if you think that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers running game has been featured through the first 3 quarters of this football game, yeah, what do you think you're going to get in the 4th as they have a 17-point lead?
I mean, what jumps out to me there, yes, it's the offensive lineman, it's Oliveira. Rasheed Bailey just got into a barroom brawl with the middle linebacker of the Montreal Alouettes. It's everybody on this team.
Yeah, well, and they all take pride in it. It's part of the culture of this team, but also when you just look at the run game in general and the receivers being involved as ball carriers, that's also going to get your receivers to buy in a little bit more to being blockers in your run game as well.
Absolutely. Well, back to the running game here. Oliveira stutters the feet and then lowers the boom as Wolodarski loves the physicality of number 20.
Yes, sir, Oliveira. Right along with his offensive line. And, you know, we talked about it off the top. This is something that head coach Mike O'Shea emphasizes when you sort of talk about the markers or the pillars of who they are in seeking victory week after week in the Canadian Football League. Physicality is one of those markers that Mike O'Shea looks at. And it's, you know, I know it's something that you can't necessarily quantify, but, you know, in the world of football, you recognize it when you see it. The Bombers are demonstrating it tonight.
Yeah, the eye test doesn't lie with how much Winnipeg has been able to move the line of scrimmage here tonight. As that will take Oliveira up over the 95 yards rushing that he had coming into that one. Has a single game max of 113 this year, and this continues with 10-17 remaining. You might see Patty Neufeld and them boys get him up over 113 tonight.
Yeah, it seems to be headed in that direction. It's been a commitment to the ground game from the word go. Just unwavering. Everybody involved, everybody buying in for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Empty it out this time on 2nd and 5. Bombers best in the CFL, converting on 2nd and 5, and this one's up in the air and intercepted. The Alouettes have possession, and still battling across midfield. It is the Alouettes secondary coming up with a big play.
A much needed big play, answering the bell in a second half that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have turned over. With turnovers, Montreal Alouettes come up with one of their own as they try to fight their way back into this one. when you look, Zach Collaros, his first read is out to this side of the field, but if you look the other way, keep an eye on Jeremy Murphy. We mentioned the rookie receiver out of Concordia moments ago, had his first CFL reception taken away by a penalty against Montreal, and this one, you know, and no fault to Collaros, his first read is to the right side.
Stanback goes rumbling for a first down on first down in Winnipeg territory, but yeah, Jeremy Murphy, 3 games at McGill playing for Concordia, 18 catches and a touchdown. Man, that's not going to be fun to watch on film, but this will be for Montreal's offense.
Yeah, getting the ball back in the hands of William Stanback. Obviously, time may be working against Montreal a little bit as they go back to that ground game that had been successful for them in the third quarter before turnovers became an issue.
7 carries, 42 yards now for Stanback. Walter Fletcher in the game as well. So the 2-back set for the Alouettes returns. And this time Stanback is going nowhere. Tackle for loss, Ricky Walker Jr.
Well, Ricky Walker's role expands this year for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with Casey Sales making the move in free agency to Hamilton. Walker had been a rotation guy, becomes a starter now at that defensive tackle position.
Jardo looks to throw. Goes to Austin Mack. Why not on 2nd and 10? Another second down conversion for Mack, who coming into tonight had just 9 catches, but man, he feels like he is a star breaking out every time he touches the rock.
Yeah, Austin Mack extending there to catch that one in front of the defender. You know, we talked to him last week. He talked about the coaches kind of keeping things simple for him here early in his CFL career, keeping him on the line of scrimmage so he's not really dealing with the motion and waggle and so on.
Max protection here over the middle. It's intended for Hergy Mayala. Ace on ace, Mayala against Nichols, and it's incomplete.
Mayala's a guy that I had just been sitting here watching as you're going to see the full blitz. Look at them stacking it up at the line of scrimmage, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defensively. Ball's got to get out quickly. Mayala makes the right adjustment with that quick slant. Unable to get the squeeze on that one, but, you know, Mayala, another member of that 2019 receiver draft class, picked in the first round by Calgary.
Fajardo, corner route over the top, drops it in. And another Canadian receiver making plays. Keon Julian Grant comes up a little bit limping at the end of this one.
Yeah, Grant working out of the slot here. He's the 2 receiver to that wide side, left side of the field. Quick out here. Gets nice separation on the play. You wonder if he did tweak something on that earlier long catch that he sort of hobbled back in. Monster game for Keon Julian Grant.
19 big ones there to get them deep in Winnipeg territory. Pressure on, and Fajardo goes down. Cam Lawson does get his revenge sack. Drafted 16th overall by Montreal in 2020. First pressure came, it looked like, from Willie Jefferson, but Lawson finishes it off.
Yeah, the Queens product, Cam Lawson, will be credited with the sack, but Willie Jefferson gets the assist. Great inside-outside quick step move there. Gets him by Nick Callender.
Loss of 7 on the play. 2nd and 17. Pressure again from the Bombers. Fajardo gets it away. One-on-one outside. Austin Mack. Touchdown.
This is the thing that Austin Mack, wherever he's been in his football career, has demonstrated an ability to do is win those contested catches, those contested balls. And the biggest contested catch of his Canadian Football League career right there. Another touchdown on the highlight reel of Austin Mack here early in his Canadian Football League career.
Still rocking those Buckeye gloves here in the CFL, making plays with those soft hands and battling for the football. Scoring play automatically reviewed
by the command center. The ruling on the field is overturned. to an incomplete pass. It's going to be third down. C'est une révision automatique du jeu. Le centre de révision a décidé que c'est une passe incomplète. C'est troisième essai.
And we'll take another look at this one. You can see the hand of the defender. Jeremy Soiree in there the whole time as Mack is on his way down with the football. We'll take a look. And doesn't survive contact with the ground on landing there. Ball comes free. Tough one there for Mack. Great effort. Way to stay in the fight by Jeremy Soiree to dislodge that one.
Yeah, what an effort from Soiree as the attempt comes up from 27. And the Montreal Alouettes are on the board here on Canada Day for the first time. Tough one for Austin Mack. Offensive pass interference earlier, overturned touchdown now, but Montreal back. Welcome back to Montreal as the Alouettes put 3 up on the board. They wish that it was a successful Austin Mack touchdown, of course. This would feel like a much more competitive, close game, but again, any points on the board at this point for Montreal, a positive. A couple of turnovers that prevented them having it earlier on. As back to the running game goes Winnipeg, and Montreal really stacking the line of scrimmage on that stuff. You wonder if we see more of that here with 5:40 going in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, part of it being in response to what Winnipeg is doing personnel-wise is the Bombers are making no secret of the fact that they're going to run the ball. Getting that set with 7 offensive linemen on the field. So Noel Thorpe with his answer to try to load up at the line of scrimmage to defend.
Check out 2 of those 7 offensive linemen back in, Schoen and Wolotarski. Schoen will join Jeremy Murphy and Wolotarski to the right of Collaros. Loads it up, looks down the field. Schoen, corner route, and incomplete. Coverage provided there by J.R. Reed.
Reed in his CFL debut providing good coverage. On that one, Winnipeg not really looking to settle for that 14-point lead, taking the deep shot there, but no dice. The defense gets the much needed quick 2 and out.
Part of Winnipeg's success so far this season, 12 big plays between offense and special teams. That's +4, and teams that get big plays so far this season, 11-0. If you win the big play battle, reason to go for it. Sergio Castillo, actually Sheehan boots this one away. And the Alouettes with a flag down after a 49-yard punt. Chandler Worthy being contained tonight. You know he was a priority concern for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Cody Fajardo trying to mount a comeback here on Canada Day. How much he would have loved seeing everyone donating at Touchdown Atlantic coming up on July 29th. No, that's going to be a fantastic environment. Dwayne Ford will be out there.
This is true.
Looking forward to seeing that. And many more matchups here in the month of July as Fajardo looks over the middle of the field. It's complete. Austin Mack, ball is out. Flag is down as well. It's recovered by the Bombers. And Speaker will finally bring down Demario Houston for now, but multiple layers of this one to work through.
Yeah, big offensive play to start the drive from Montreal. You see the turnover that has been an issue for them here in the second half.
Before the turnover, illegal block downfield. Montreal number 11. La penalty is declined. It's going to be Winnipeg ball. Avant le revirement, on a un bloc légal contre Montréal numéro 11. La pénalité déclinée. Ça va être premier essai pour Winnipeg.
Jason Moss wondering how is it possible that Keon Julian Grant had an illegal block downfield?
Here we'll try and get a look, but quick strike. It's again Austin Mack working across the middle. Nice strip on the play. his nemesis Soiree.
He's done a heck of a job, hasn't he, against Austin Beck?
Yeah, he's had a nice night.
Not often we get to give
last week.
give love to a corner from Colgate.
Yes.
Oh, Patriot League. Shout out here on Canada Day. Laros hands it off inside Oliveira. 3:41 remaining in the fourth quarter and a 14-point advantage. And it looks as though Montreal will use up one of their timeouts before we hit the 3-minute warning.
We watched this game. We mentioned a little earlier the receivers in that 2019 draft class, but kind of a breakout year for so far for the class of 2019. You look at Matthew Betts having off to just a fantastic start with the BC Lions. We've talked so much in this game about Keon Julian Grant and Brady Oliveira, picked back-to-back at 13 and 14 back in that draft. So it's 4 years into their Canadian Football League careers. It's their time.
And you had a little bit of trivia for me as well on that draft before we kicked here tonight.
Well, I did. Interesting when you see Keon Julian Grant, as he's rapidly becoming, or quite frankly, has become a star in the Canadian Football League. He's picked 13th overall. Of all the picks before him, there are only 2 guys that remain with the team that drafted him.
Flag down as Collaros gets sacked by Nick Usher. Talked at halftime with Matthew Shinetti about trying to get after the quarterback. He does there, but the penalty, likely a holding call against Winnipeg. It is.
Winnipeg number 51. Penalties decline. It's going to be third down. Bloc illégal au visage. Winnipeg numéro 51. Penalty déclinée.
Here we'll see Usher coming from his familiar defensive end position. Just gets to the quarterback as he's flushed from the pocket.
The question everyone's sitting on the edge of their seat here,
waiting
Dwayne.
for the trivia answer?
Who are the 2 players?
Well,
they're still on their team.
Both players with the same team. Number 1 overall pick, Shane Richards.
Argos.
Argonauts, and a round later, the Argos pick Grey Cup hero Robbie Smith out of Wilfrid Laurier.
See those 2 in action coming up on Monday night, right here on TSN against the BC Lions. Battle of the undefeateds, best defense in the league in BC. As whistles, they'll shoot this one down.
Time count violation. Winnipeg number 18. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's still going to be third down. Trop de temps pour mettre le ballon en jeu. Winnipeg numéro 18. Une pénalité de Saint-Verge. Encore 3e essai.
But best defense in the Canadian Football League so far, the BC Lions up against Chad Kelly. Theater.
Yeah, excited to see that one. Quite frankly, a couple of undefeated teams, and the Argos, the defending Grey Cup champions, who no doubt are getting tired of people saying Winnipeg is the measuring stick when they are the defending champions. But a new starting quarterback.
Sheehan goes with the sidewinder, and he's not going to be happy with this one. Same as earlier. Flag came up, was caught by the official on the sideline there as well, as it goes out of bounds untouched, and so a time count violation and then more yardage given up.
It's a legal kick. Let's get first down for Montreal.
And the Alouettes get the football right back here. Just over 3 minutes remaining, down 14.
Yeah, so a Montreal team that, quite frankly, needs to score in a hurry. The run has been their best weapon when they've been able to use it. Not really a great option with 3 minutes to go in this one, down by 14. You look at the pass game. Through their first 3 games, they have been so dependent on Keon Julian Grant and Austin Mack. They need someone else to step up and make a play.
See what they do here is the last play before the 3-minute warning. Gotta think they throw on first down. They will. Fajardo drops back. Bombers knew it as well. They send the pass rush. Fajardo bounces off 2 tacklers. A strip attempt, and now Brandon Alexander finally brings down Fajardo after a 19-yard jog for Fajardo, getting some breathing room out of their own end. Does Fajardo have any more Montreal magic to start this season? He'll need all of it. Trailing by 14, 3 minutes remaining here on Canada Day. TSN. Quinton McManus. Middle of that defense for the Toronto Argonauts. The battle against VA and the Lions. Fajardo trying to climb his way back into this game late, but can't get away from Willie Jefferson. Grandma will like that one if she's still awake.
I'm sure Grandma's still awake watching Willie. Yeah, keep an eye on Jefferson. On the left side here. Second effort sack. It's Cody Fajardo just fighting to stay alive, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are not going to make it easy for him to try and fight his way back into this one.
For a loss of 6, 2nd and 16, 4 receivers to the right. They'll try to screen it back the other direction. Read the whole way by Clements as he smacks Stanback to the turf. Incomplete.
Yeah, Malik Clemens sniffed that one out once again. Defensive line supplying some pressure that may have accelerated this one, but Clemens knew what was coming all along.
Haven't said the name of Adam Bighill much tonight. Just a couple of days of practice this week, but here in uniform, in the middle of that defense, and the Alouettes will stay on the field offensively. Desperation time, 3rd and 16. Maximum protection for Fajardo. Deep ball, Austin Mack. Up, goes and gets it. And finally wins a battle against Darmy Soiree. As Mack gets another explosive play, as he has so many times to start this season, and adds to his CFL leading 3 plays of 30 yards or more through the air coming in.
And get another great look from the Spider Cam here. Mack is going to be out wide on the right side, just coming into your picture. Rising above the defensive back to make another big play.
And that'll break the 100-yard mark for Austin Mack here tonight. Came in averaging about 22 yards per catch.
Yeah.
He is a big play receiver, playing that spot that Gino Lewis did before he left in free agency for the Edmonton Elks. 6 catches. And over 100 once again on a night where he could have had much more. And an extra touchdown. And I mean, he's going to be a consistent threat. As long as he's healthy this year, he's going to be getting a lot of attention from both the Alouettes play calling staff.
Yeah, we started to talk about it before, but his importance here in Montreal, where you've had Gino Lewis and Jake Winnipeg leave in free agency. Reggie White Jr. and Greg Ellingson opening the season on the injured list. You know, they needed somebody to fill the void, and so you have a guy who's got that experience, even though he's a CFL rookie, a veteran professional, which allows him to hit the ground running.
Checking it down underneath, or at least trying to William Stanback. Clemens had the big hit on the Stanback screen. 31's going to get tired of seeing 33 around, but ball tipped at the line of scrimmage, almost led to another interception for Fajardo.
And I thought they might try to push the ball deep. As you saw Soiree after that last catch by Mack, he heads to the sidelines injured. You start making substitutions on the back end. Thought we might see Montreal try to go deep again right away, as there's been some juggling on the back end for the Bombers.
Mack and Keon Julian Grant to the bottom of your screen. Fajardo looks that direction. Pressure on. Ball is out. Bouncing around on the wet turf at Percival Molson. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on top as Willie Jefferson celebrates with just about every teammate in the offensive backfield of the Alouettes to close this one out.
Keep an eye right here as this time they move Willie around. He's inside, you know, and his length and athleticism creating problems for a lot of interior offensive linemen. He creates that turnover. Cam Lawson gets on top of it.
Sometimes you see Willie Jefferson with a rep like that, and you wonder, how do you stop that?
Holly Kelly B. Riley. That Happy Canada Day!
One of the great characters in the Canadian Football League is Oliveira. Runs it, stopped by Notre as we get one more look at the work of one of the great characters in the Canadian Football League and a heck of a player as well. A rip, swam all over the time. I mean, how do you possibly stop any of that?
Arms everywhere. Willie Jefferson getting it done. Big hug for his coach. You heard him with a little shout out for his daughters back in Winnipeg.
Happy Canada Day! Bonjour! Merci!
I did not know that Willie was bilingual.
Au revoir! See you soon, back in Winnipeg.
A bientôt, Willie.
Back to Oliveira they go. Second down, converting here once again. Willie said before the game that he loves coming to Montreal and hearing smack talk in a different language.
Yes.
And then he kind of paused and said, especially when it's the language of love. So not
Hey man, come on, man, come on.
Willie Jefferson, the treasure. Guy who's
Learn his name.
moved his family up.
Cameron Lawson. 2 sacks and a fumble recovery. Let's get out of here.
Shout out to my mom, dad, my sister, and my girl. Love y'all.
Willie taking us on a sideline tour.
Yes.
All access.
It's victory formation out on the field.
This one perhaps less eventful than Montreal's victory formation last week against the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, we hope. There are no pro wrestling worthy moves at the end of this one.
And Mike O'Shea and the Bombers get back into the win column, the 85th career win for Osh, and Zach Collaros in start 101 will improve his CFL record to 64-37, now 30-5 as a Bomber, as Tom Higgins steps aside one spot down the rung. The former Alouettes bench boss, as Mike O'Shea continues his ascension.
One of my favorite guys, by the way, Tom Higgins.
And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in control from start to finish here in Montreal on Canada Day.
Hey man, I'm a nobody, man.
Got a feeling that Willie's going to be talking all the